Hey everyone, it's Jeff, product manager here at Adventure Wagon. Today we're going to go over the assembly of our new GOAT wheel well storage lockers. The first thing that you want to do is just take out the different pieces of the frame and lay them down on a table or workspace in front of you, kind of in this orientation. In the box for the frame for the GOAT wheel well storage locker, you're going to get the frame itself, which comes in 6 pieces. You're going to get all of your mounting and assembly hardware, which comes with 28 M6 nylock nuts, 28 M6 size washers, and then you'll get some mounting hardware that you don't need to worry about right now, but that's these M10 bolts and some custom mounting washers that we'll use for the frame. As far as tools go, the only thing that you're gonna need is a 10mm deep well socket and then just a ratchet to go with that. A torque wrench is, it can be used, but it's not completely necessary. All of the hardware that's going into this, all these nuts that are gonna be used for this assembly, the recommended torque spec is only about 22 inch-pounds, so it's quite light. So really just a nice firm hand tighten is gonna be totally sufficient. The very first piece that we're gonna kind of start the assembly with is the very front of the box. So when you're doing that, basically, so you can identify the parts, what you're looking for are these laser cut numbers. It'll say something like S2-1 or S1-1. You don't really need to pay attention to the S2. You only need to pay attention to the very last number. So we're gonna start with number 1. Put it face down, and you're gonna notice that over each one of the PEM studs, there's a little rubber boot. You'll take off every one of these rubber boots. They might leave behind a little bit of paint on your fingers, but no big deal. All right, so we're gonna move on to the end pieces of the frame. These are part numbers 3 and 4. We're gonna start with number 3. This piece right here, it's pretty much a mirror image of the other part. We're looking for these square mounting holes. Again, that's the bottom of the frame here. And then we're using these mounting holes on this edge here to align with the PEM studs over here. The good news is you kind of can't mess this up, because if the mounting holes don't align, it means that you probably either have the wrong part or it's not oriented properly. So it's gonna fit over those holes, and we're gonna grab our hardware. And the first thing you're gonna do is take an M6 washer. We're putting those over the PEM stud first. So we're gonna do 4 of those. And then we're gonna just thread on an M6 nylock nut onto each stud. Right now, we're really just worried about getting them hand tightened. So you're just gonna feel them tighten until they kind of hit that nylon part of the nut. We're gonna do a loose fitment of all these parts and then come back through and tighten them in the next step. All right, now we're gonna move on to the other end, which is part number 4. Again, just kind of wanna orient it in your hands properly before you put it down, which is like this. Same thing here, we're just gonna feed a washer onto each stud and then come back through with one of the nylock nuts. Now we're gonna move to the middle section. There's 2 parts to this, and they're both labeled the same. It's part number 5. So they're the exact same part, and we're gonna put them on these 2 dividers here. We'll start with this one. And again, you know, you kind of can't get this wrong. We're just looking for the mounting holes that align with the PEM studs and orienting the part to match that. So this one, we'll align those mounting holes. The part number, laser cut part number, is gonna be kind of facing you in this orientation. Slipping it over PEM studs there. Same thing there. And then go back through and feed your washers and nylock nuts onto the PEM studs. All right, now we have the final piece, which is labeled number 2. That's the very back of the frame. So the best way to do this is to actually tip the assembly that you've done so far up on its end. So it's basically, now it's tipped up, right side up, and it's kind of facing away from you. And we're gonna take part number 2, which is the backing plate. And there's some more PEM studs here. Move it so you have a little bit of room. And we're just putting it on the back here. And we're gonna work our way through and align these PEM studs through their corresponding holes in the other side of the frame. As you align these, it can be good to grab a couple pieces of hardware just to kind of keep some things in place, keep the frame together as you get the placement of everything. All right, and then we're just gonna go back through and repeat this process with the remaining hardware for the washers and nylock nuts. The last step is to just go back through and tighten all the nuts down to about 20 inch-pounds. That's about 1.66 foot-pounds. We've got a digital torque wrench. Again, this is not absolutely necessary. You can just use a regular ratchet. Basically, you just don't want to really, you don't need to really wrench it down tight. Just a nice snug fit with the wrench, and that's gonna be plenty. All right, now that the frame is assembled and all the hardware is tightened down, it's time to move on to the fabric cover. In the box with the fabric covers, you're gonna get your main cover, and you're gonna get your lid, which comes in 2 pieces like this. You're also gonna get a roll of Velcro to stick onto the frame. And then what you're gonna need for this is some rubbing alcohol with a rag to prep the surface, and then just some scissors to cut the Velcro to the sizes that you need. So the first step is to clean and prep the frame for the Velcro. So this is where you need your rubbing alcohol, your denatured alcohol. Just wet a rag down, and you're just cleaning the surfaces that the Velcro strips are gonna adhere to, which is basically, you know, the frame. I'm standing at the back of the frame. It's this back surface of this kind of top edge here. It's the underside of this top lip here. And then the back side kind of down the edges, and then it's gonna be on the underside of the frame as well. So that'll be the last one when we tip the frame up. So just go ahead and soak your rag and start cleaning those surfaces. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and stick the Velcro strips down. So again, you're just basically cutting pieces to length, depending on where they're going on the frame. We're just gonna go ahead and speed through this process. Just a reminder here that you'll have some written instructions with a little bit more detail that you can follow as to where exactly this Velcro is gonna go. All right, so now we've got everything prepped to put the fabric cover on the frame. Pretty much the easiest way to do this is to actually start with your front cover, and what we're gonna do is actually flip it upside down like this. And then we're gonna turn the frame over to rest on top of that, and then we can kind of work on all sides to attach the Velcro. So you'll kind of want to align everything. So, you know, this opening aligns with that cavity, this one with that one, so on and so forth. And then these Velcro straps, they go around these areas and get you one more point of attachment at the front. So we'll start there by opening up these Velcro loops. And with these Velcro loops, you're just kind of taking the loop side of the Velcro and you're feeding it through that hole in the frame and just kind of putting it back onto itself. We don't need to do this very tight right now. You can leave it loose so that we can kind of, sort of manipulate the cover on the frame as we finish up the installation process, but it just kind of keeps it in place. All right, and then we'll move to the other Velcro areas around the perimeter of the frame from here. The points that we're trying to attach with the Velcro here are on what is the bottom side, so this face right here, the back side here, and then the underside of this lip here. This is kind of almost the trickiest one because it needs to come over and then wrap around the underside. These ones just basically need to turn the corner. So I'm gonna start with those and attach these. The whole time you're doing this, you're trying to make sure that everything is staying relatively aligned. So basically this corner patch right here you should just be aware that you're trying to keep that aligned with this kind of angled corner of the frame. If you don't get it perfect the first time, that's okay. There's gonna be some kind of fine adjustments that we'll need to do after we kind of get everything roughly in place. From here, I'm actually gonna tip the whole thing back up and then I'm gonna work on this last top side here. Okay, now that the fabric cover is on, we're gonna go ahead and put the lids on. So with the lids, it's pretty simple. I'm just gonna put each one on. I'm just gonna rest it on the frame first. Velcro at the back, obviously. Buckles at the front. And then I'm just gonna come around and do kind of an alignment check on everything. And again, these corners are usually where I start. Just make sure that the corner of the lid, you know, on the back and front matches up on both lids. And then also checking to make sure that the gap in between the two lids is nice and tight and looks good, which just kind of means a little bit of balancing, you know, splitting the difference a little bit and getting it to where it looks aligned. All right, that looks pretty good. Your center should kind of be coming right down basically in between those two things. And then from here, we're just gonna fold the back kind of lip of the lid over and attach the Velcro on the back side. Like that. And so now that the lids are on, we're just gonna connect our fidlock buckles. These are kind of cool. They've got a magnetic aspect to them, so they just kind of find home really easily like this and snap into place. And then to undo them, they slide away from each other like that. So you can do it with one hand too, you just kind of go like that. But we're gonna go ahead and attach all these. And that's it. Okay, so that's it for the assembly of the GOAT wheel well storage lockers. The next video, we're gonna get into the installation. At this point, if you have any questions about assembly, feel free to reach out to us, give us a call, or email us at info@adventurewagon.com. Thanks for watching.